Hi, my name is Vicente, and today we'll be talking about World War II.
Oh, Mr. Teacher, I know all about this subject, Pearl Harbor and D-Day.
Oh, me from the past. World War II is much more intricate and broad than just two events. World War II started with the appeasement of Hitler by Neville Chamberlain, which led to Hitler having more and more power with every deal. Hitler mobilized his troops and invaded Poland in 1939. Around the same time, Russia and Germany signed a pact together. With the invasion of Poland, Britain and France declared war on Germany, while the US declared neutrality in these times. Then on September 17, 1939, Russia invaded Poland in the east. The Soviets were expelled from the League of Nations and beginning attack on Finland. With war on the horizon, Britain began to ration food, the Germans then invade Denmark and Norway, and then the same year, they invaded France, Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg.
Wait, when does Winston Churchill become Prime Minister?
Me from the past. In this same year, 1940, Churchill was named Prime Minister as Chamberlain stepped down. The Italians would then declare war on Britain and France, and Norway surrenders to the Nazis. Hitler would then put in Operation Sea Lion, which is the invasion of Britain. The Battle of Britain begins, and the bombing of factories and airfields also begins. They would begin their blitz against his country and bomb many cities after London, Manchester, Southampton, Bristol. Inside of all this, Italy begins to invade Egypt and moves east to invade Greece, and Romania joins in the Axis powers. Britain then counterattacks with the offensive on Italy in Africa. Another massive air raid begins on London. Now in 1941, this is when Roosevelt signed the Lend-Lease Act. This is when the US were trying to promote their defense. It provided all of the Allied nations with oil, food, and materials for war to help support them. The siege of Tobruk didn't help the Nazis so much since they repulsed most of the Axis attacks. It made them look like a joke. Meanwhile, Operation Barbarossa was Germany's secret attack on the Soviet Union. They wanted to control the Soviet Union and have their territory, but also take Stalin out of power. But Stalin later ended up joining the Allies to stop Hitler, so in the long run, it didn't really help at all. FDR and Churchill, also in 1941, FDR and Churchill announced the Atlantic Charter. This was basically when they wanted to get out of World War II. Their goals, US and Britain declare war on Japan, and later Hitler declares war on the US. And yes, Pearl Harbor happened this year on December 7th, which then in a broader scale pushed the US into war.
Wait, I'm confused. What happens in 1942?
During 1942, here in America, Japanese Americans were put into internment camps due to the fear that one of them could be a spy. Meanwhile, America sends its first armed troops to Britain. Nazi Germany begins to bomb cities in Britain, most notably around the Channel, and Nazi Germany also begins its termination plans with the Jews. They do this by gassing them in the most notable of camps, like Auschwitz. The Nazis get bold and go for Stalingrad, in a symbol to show that Stalin isn't as strong of a leader as he says he is. Soviets fight off troops in Crimea and resist Italian militants in the USSR. Bombings by British aviation hits Cologne, Germany. The US invades Northern Africa, aka Operation George. Germany and Italians...
Isn't this where D-Day comes up now?
No, me from the past. We're only in 1943. In 1943, the Soviets begin an offensive against the Germans in Stalingrad. British General Montgomery at this time also takes Tripoli from the Axis powers. The Casablanca Conference also takes place at this time. America begins its first bombings on Germany, and due to Hitler's arrogance, the German army couldn't retreat and surrender in Stalingrad. Germans begin to withdraw from Tunisia and Africa. The Soviets would take Kharkov, only for the Germans to take it right back. Montgomery's army breaks through the defense into Tunisia. US and British forces link in Tunisia, and Axis powers pull out of the country. Mussolini was arrested and the Italian government fails. Italian surrender was announced shortly after. The Germans invade Italy and rescue Mussolini. He would re-establish a fascist government, then the Allies would re-enter Naples. Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin all met in Tehran. I think it's time for the mystery document.
Hi, welcome to the mystery document. The way it works is I will read a quote, and if I get the quote wrong, then I get shocked with the pen. And today we'll be reading a quote from D-Day, and it goes, there's one great thing that you men will be able to say after this war is over and you are home once again. You may be thankful that 20 years from now, when you are sitting by the fireplace with your grandson on your knee, and he asks you what you did in the Great World War, you won't have to cough. Shift into the other knee and say, well, your granddaddy shoveled shit in Louisiana. Dwight Eisenhower?
Soviet troops would invade German Poland, Allied troops would land in Italy, and Leningrad would finally be relieved after a 900-day siege. British began to drop 3,000 tons of bombs on Berlin. Then Germans would then retreat from Hitler line and Crimea, and British and American and Canadian forces began to liberate France. The Soviets would then liberate the first concentration camps at Mad.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a day which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. We will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
1945, the war ends, FDR dies, and we drop a bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's pretty much it.
Take one.
Take one, baby. Hi, my name is... Dude, I didn't read what I'm like. Hi, my name is Vicente, and today we'll be talking about World War I, II. 1940s... What? Bro, I'm not reading. That was named Prime Minister as Chamberlain stepped down. The Italians would then begin to get... During 1942, is that the year?
Home once again, you may be thankful that 20 years from now, when you were sitting by the...
Bro, what are all these names, dog? The Germans would retreat from the... What? Dog, this doesn't make sense. I don't know what's going on. Line in Crimea, and British American... He doesn't know how to type. This is gonna be Soviet troops would invade German. What? What? Tonight.
Hey, girl texting you.
You're a bitch. Now in 1941, this is when Roosevelt signed... What? This isn't even what we're on. We're in 1942.
Schwer.
Wait, no.